Hey, good morning. Welcome to ATI Pro Media, live at 9-ish today. We're a few minutes late, had a little technical glitch out of the gate. My internet crashed on me 2 minutes before we went live. But hey, we got her back going, I think, I hope. Let me know if you can hear me out there. And all good here. So grain's a little mixed here as we kick off Thursday midweek. I promised Grow the Farm Up an updated drought monitor. And of course, we would have delayed data this morning, and I can't deliver, but we'll roll on. So anyway, corn trade remains a little bit heavy. Anticipation of next week's big acreage number and what's going to be printed on the grain stocks. Wheat trade is also a little heavy on the Black Sea truce and potential for more grain flow coming out of a Black Sea truce deal. Beans, they're the only thing green on the screen here today. But likely just out of sympathy here. Something's got to go up, maybe. I don't know. So it's bullish. If it's not bullish, guys, I guess it's bearish here. And that's the theme today. But we got to wonder how much bad news is actually built into these markets. But don't anticipate that, don't think that they can't go lower too. So how much lower can they go? I wouldn't make that bet. We'll see what unfolds here in the next week. So let's go to your markets. I'll quote you up, and then we'll roll through some headlines here. May corn is down 1/4 cent at 451. Broke the 200-day moving average yesterday. Broke below that 200-day moving average. Beans are up 14.5 cents. There's your winner. Up 14.5 at 10.15 on your May beans. New crop beans 10.19, up 13 cents. Soy oil is a $1.50 firmer at 44.70. Soy meal is relatively unchanged. Chicago wheat's down 0.5 cent. KC wheat's up 2.5. New crop KC wheat July contract 5.81 1/4. Feeder cattle are down $3 on your April. The maize down 4 1/4, and your live cattle are down $1.50 at a 201. The hogs are $1.60 lower on your May contract. April's down $1, so the meats are leaking weaker. Crude oil is down a nickel, 69.59. Diesel's relatively unchanged. Nat gas is down 2 cents. The Dow's down 32. The S&P down 8. NASDAQ down 70, and the Russell down 5. All right, we'll dive into some headlines here. I left my door open in the shuffle of trying to get my internet open, and I got my cat in here. My cat came to make a cameo appearance. Gato, say hi out there. Oh boy, get out of here, cat. Anyway, oh gosh, what a Thursday here. But we're rolling with it. The cat will be back, I'm sure. Okay, drought monitor delayed. Here we go. Gonna add this to the stage. I go into to deliver. Grow the Farm Up wanted an updated drought map, and no can do here due to a processing issue. U.S. drought monitor release is temporarily delayed. Check back later for further updates. And it's interesting because you can go look by crops in drought, looking at corn, barley, spring wheat, some of those specific commodities, and they got some numbers out there that are wonky and all over the place, and can kind of lead to some misled data there. So something's going on here. Not sure what's up. Don't trust your drought monitor today, and yeah, just go out there, I guess, and stick your finger in the dirt, and that'll tell you how we sit on the drought monitor. But nonetheless, got some weather stuff going on too. Scattered rains in Russia wheat coming up. I think those rains are going to largely miss Ukraine wheat, but some rain is expected in the Black Sea region, which is, hugely important as they've been pretty dry there. Got near to above normal rainfall coming in the Brazil safrinha corn acreage over the next 10 days. Watch that. Make sure it's realized and see. Rick, you run the clicker here. I'm done clicking. But then we got the first 5 potential precip in hard red wheat country. We'll see if we actually get that here. So export sales, though. We had some export sales here this week. Weekly export sales. Got a graphic. I'm going to pull that in for you all. Here we go. Light but acceptable. The corn number, 40.9 million bushels on your weekly exports for last week. Japan and Mexico were the big takers there. Beans were a little light, 12.4 million bushels on the lower end of that expected range, but still an acceptable number. Wheat was light as well, 3.7 million bushels, 0 to 20 expected. Need 6.1 per week, according to that graphic there. But light export week printed on the weekly export sales. Strong U.S. corn demand still highlights that the world's waiting on Brazil safrinha corn harvest here in July, and all eyes are on that crop. Need some world corn stock relief. We got two crops coming up, the safrinha corn and the U.S. crop, that are going to alleviate the supply situation potentially, but maybe they won't. Maybe they won't. ATI Research had a good graphic out illustrating the Far East demand for corn here, Japan, South Korea, Vietnam, and the unshipped book of business going to the Far East, and how it sometimes can correlate with safrinha crop concerns going forward and the tightness out there in the world stocks. So interesting graphic. I didn't have time to pull it in, but ATI Research pumping out good stuff. I appreciate you guys sending that out to our customers, our clients, and our brokers out there. Next, where do we roll? EIA data had the ethanol data out yesterday. Weekly supply and demand updates with that EIA report out there. Very interesting. You know, we get all worked up and rung up about a crop report that comes out every month, World Ag Supply and Demand. EIA ethanol boys, they got to deal with that stuff every week as we check the daily output. But daily output fell a little bit. It's the lowest since January timeframe, but still relatively strong run rates on your ethanol front. Stocks grew. They're up 775,000 barrels above a week ago, 27 million barrels. Going to pull that graphic in real quick for a snapshot, but production still above that 1 million barrels per day level. So that's good. Nice to see. Going to enter into some seasonal maintenance timeframes. So we'll see some of that, you know, that kind of tendency to tick lower as we go forward here as plants do some seasonal maintenance. But watch that stocks ending stocks number. We don't want that to get too out of line. Need people out driving and burning gas and burning and using ethanol. That's a big piece of the demand picture for corn. Shining light in corn is ethanol demand here right now. So, all right, onward we march. Premium. Brian Basting's on the books today. Looking forward to that. ATI Researchers, Brian Bastings. We're going to break down just some general, you know, market, dive a little deeper on the fundamentals of what's going on in the market, dive into report stuff next week. He did a corn and soybean videos. Those are free. They're posted on the ATI YouTube channel. Check those out. Does a nice rundown there. I'm going to try to make him dive a little deeper though, and for our premium customers out there. So we're still running special this week. If you text us and sign up for premium this week, text us and you can get your first 30 days free. Invite you to sign up for premium. We're delivering good content. We've got morning email going out the wire. What's happening in your grain markets, livestock markets, doing actionable text message alerts with that subscription, and then you get premium videos breaking down those actionable strategies for marketing and just talking about your markets there. Meats, grains. Sign up this week. Get 30 days free. ATIProMedia.com. Invite you to be a new premium subscriber. So, all right. What's caught my eyes? It is my favorite section of the morning wire that we get. ATI Research pumps this out. What's caught my eye? They highlighted March 1 corn stocks. The Reuters survey for March 1 corn stocks has the average at 8.154 billion bushel. There seems to be a trend here with the USDA coming in below the trade for 5 consecutive years by an average of 87 million bushels, suggesting more feed residual consumption than anticipated by the trade. With futures averaging 50 cents above last year during virtually all of the February-March period, might quarter 2 feed consumption be down as much as 100 to 150 million bushels year on year. Interesting comments there with what's caught my eye. The feed and residual number was, I think, a little disappointing in the DS1 stocks report. And the trade is looking for confirmation to see what that grain stocks report prints, here on Monday. So don't forget about that stocks report. It's also going to happen out there. Going to flash up those estimates here. Corn stocks 8.151 versus 8.352 last year. Big range on the stocks. The low end of 8.05 printed there. Looking at your soy stocks, 1.9 versus 1.845 is the average guess. 1.8 to 2 on your soy stocks. Got to watch those soy stocks as well. And then your wheat stocks 1.215 versus 1.089, according to this Reuters, estimates and the average estimates there. Looking at your acreage number, again, graphic courtesy of Karen Braun. Great follow on Twitter. 94.4 million acres of corn versus 90.5 last year, 83.7 beans versus 87. What's your acreage number? Still want to know if you have a thought, opinion on how many corn acres we are going to see and who the loser is out there on acreage. Who's going to give up the most acreage? We want to know. Leave that in a comment below. Definitely. Thanks for joining us today, as always. And we love the engagement in the comments. So, all right. Got another Karen Braun tweet. I'm going to take a sip of coffee while we enjoy this, but I love my coffee. All right. This is a good tweet here. So Karen Braun tweet, Reuters tweet again, always a great follow out there, pumping out good, solid content. But she tweets, it's never been bullish when the new crop corn bean ratio averages 2.3 or below during February. And that ratio was 2.24 during the month of February. This suggests acreage will be above that 94.4 average guess. And this graphic kind of highlights that the trade tends to underestimate when we drop below that 2.3 level, there's a solid trend there that the trade underestimates how many corn acres will be printed when that ratio is below 2.3. It's not a guarantee that we're going to be above 94.4, but the trend would suggest that the trade has a history of underestimating the acreage number when that ratio is that low. So interesting tweet and worthy paying attention to out there. So, all right, gonna talk a little cattle and then we'll talk a little hogs. I'm not a hog guy, but we'll talk a little bit of both here. So choice cutout continues to surge higher, up 311 yesterday and $8.69 better than a week ago. The streak has continued. We've got 19 consecutive days where we've seen week over week gains in the choice cutout. So choice remains firm. The rib has been the big contributor, but the chuck and the round have also held their ground, which is supportive of the cutout grinding higher. So cash is called steady to higher this week. We'll see as more trade develops later in the week, what all happens there. But your cattle markets, see where they were leaking weaker here. Yikes. Yeah, bouncing off the lows, but they're leaking weaker here out of the gate. Sentiment it seems like everybody's hunting to sell this market. The tops, we go from the tops in, or we're going to 3 day by day. It seems like we just pivot on the sentiment out there. So proceed with caution going forward. If you're a cowboy and cow calf guy out there, good tools out there to go manage risk. Hogs, we got a quarterly hogs and pig report today at 2:00. I'm not an expert on the hog front. Tony D is Tony Dunker, and we'll pump some content out to you. If you want a recap of that hog and pigs report, shoot us an email, send us a text. We will get that to you. But they're calling all hogs and pigs on March 1 up 1.2% versus a year ago. Kept for breeding up 0.2% versus a year ago, very much in line with the year ago, but maybe a tick higher. And then marketing, kept for marketing 1.1% higher for a year ago. When we talk about the meats and the protein complex, got to keep an eye on the hog and chicken markets, whether you like them or not. I'm a beef boy and I like my beef, but you know what? When ribeyes get pretty expensive, I like a pork chop as well too. So plenty of market moving headlines this week. Thanks for joining us. We'll dive into some comments here and then probably get out of here. Farmer Brett, my cat's bothering me again. Farmer Brett funded my IRA and Roth IRAs today. Deadline is April 15th. Maybe I'll buy some corn puts in those accounts. There you go. Funny. Just kidding. I'm buying Amazon and Google, Farmer Brett. Okay. Yeah, they're on sale too. Your tech stocks, Amazon, Google, Tesla, all of them kind of been on a crash here lately. Tesla, I think, was down 5% overnight. I haven't looked here this morning, but a lot of macro market moving pieces out there. So appreciate y'all joining me. I'll leave you with this tidbit. Here. Okay. Is your marketing plan going forward this year, is it based on luck or hope, or is it based on good decision making, sound risk management? And if your marketing plan fails or falls apart, is that bad luck or is that bad decision making? Questions to ponder, things to think about. That's probably not going to make me too many friends out there today, but think about it. We'll roll on. We'll be back tomorrow. I hope my internet's up to snuff so I can be live at 9 instead of live at 9:06. But thanks for joining us today. I'm going to get out of here. Y'all have a fantastic day. We'll see you tomorrow.